Hello.
Hi, Clinton. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Excellent. Excellent. So there's a likelihood, I don't know how strong, that Linda Beaton will be in the meeting. So um, you can give her audio and visual.
You're you cut out.
Okay. Um, there's a likelihood that Linda Beaton will be in the meeting. And if so, you can give her video and audio. Did that work better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I think it's my internet.
Huh. Now I'm showing strong connection.
Yeah, I think it's mine.
And Lori today told me at church that they had no charter or spectrum because then they had no phones and they had no internet and all that stuff. But we thought it was because they're working on the road near the church because the school system's built a new school there. But don't know.
Hmm.
I'm going to reboot my main internet.
I'm gonna mute myself and stop video and see if I can get closer to the internet and
Okay.
stuff.
Alrighty. Had to change rooms.
Yeah, I'm in the kitchen.
Huh.
So I will be mute and then unmute when I need to talk because right now kids are doing technology. So
All right, that's fine. Don't worry, because I have dogs. I'm sure will bark and stuff, and you know how it is.
right. Yeah, I got over here, got set all up. And then I'm like, oh yeah, my power cord. This meeting goes long. The battery goes fast on the computer. So I
Yep.
had to go
Mhm.
crawl underneath my desk and find my power cord. And I'm like,
Yeah, we need that power to keep them running.
yeah, I've noticed if I'm not hooked up to the power, it definitely drains the battery fast.
Yep. Hello, Cindy. Hello, Doug.
Hello,
Hi, Doug. Hi, Cindy.
hey, Lynn.
My wife might be coming home, and the dogs are going to be all excited. Oh, we lost Cindy.
Uh-oh.
It's got her hours in.
And here
Yes.
she's back.
Yep.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi, I can hear you now. Okay.
Great. I saw what I think is the back of Claire's head in a photo in the News Advocate today.
Yep, that's
Painting
her.
with. Okay.
I
Yep.
said, did you turn when they went to take the picture? Because she's pretty shy, but
Uh-huh.
no. She says, no, they just took it. So
Aw.
It didn't say, but it looked like they were painting the A&W. Is that the right spot that she was at, or?
no, they were at the Manistee beverage
Oh,
company.
okay. All right. Yep.
hmm And they all got a free vanilla cream soda
Oh,
afterward.
that was
Oh, that's
nice.
cool.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Karen.
Karen.
Hey, James.
Hello. How are you guys?
Doing good. How are you?
Fine.
Good. Do we know who that number is?
I was just gonna ask,
Okay.
with the individual of the last four digits of the phone number 7759, are you a
Hi,
member of the, hello, are you a member of the,
I'm a resident.
okay.
Person with the a phone number ending in 3033.
That's me.
Are you Dale? Okay. I
Yes,
thought it might be, but I wasn't positive.
Yep.
Thank
And
you,
I
Dale.
have 359 on my computer screen. Is that right? That's got to be right.
Yes, that's correct.
You sure are right.
Do we have a quorum, Clint?
We have a quorum right now.
All right. Would you like to read your little announcement then?
Yes. Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, September 28th, 2021. I'm Clinton McKimmon-Copus, Executive Director and Secretary for the City of Manistee Housing Commission. The Housing Commission September 28, 2021 regular meeting is being conducted remotely by Zoom. The meeting is in audio mode only for public participants. Deputy Director Lindsay McIntyre is assisting me with the meeting. You may hear her voice if there is an issue that requires her assistance. The microphones of all the Housing Commission board members, Ms. McIntyre and myself will always be live unless there is audio disruption. Members of the Housing Commission Board of Commissioners are asked to speak their name clearly before speaking or making a motion. We are now ready to call the meeting to order. President Priester.
Yes. Would you we'll call the meeting order. Will you take the roll, please?
Yes.
Just wait
Dale
one-
Priester. Yeah, when we let
Yes.
the city manager in.
All right. That would be nice.
All right, I think you should be good to continue, Clinton.
All right. Okay, great. Welcome, Bill.
Hi, Clinton. Nice to see you.
You too. Okay, we're calling the roll, and it's I'll put it down as 4:01.
Yes.
Now,
We'll
President
not turn my
Priester.
camera on. I'm here, but I won't turn my camera on.
All right. Vice President Treasurer Parks
Here.
and Commissioner Bond
Here.
and Commissioner Goodman.
Here.
And I'm assuming that Kelly is not available because of work. I haven't heard from her other than she was going to attend. So, and then staff members are myself and Lindsay and Cindy. And then we have as a guest Miss Yarrow Brown, who will be presenting to us, and she's with Housing North. So I've recorded that there. All right.
All right.
Attendance is taken.
Any amendments to the agenda?
We have a correction to the agenda right now, which is that on resolution 2021-06, which is on the consent agenda, passbook savings rate, it should be written as 0.06%. And I left off the percentage mark. I will correct that in the final version, but I wanted to call that to everyone's attention before we proceed.
0.06. Do we need to, when we get there, do we need to have a motion to change it, or just occur?
I think that falls under our policy of errata and corrections that we adopted,
Okay.
because it's
Right.
a typo that was there. So
That happens,
yeah,
unfortunately. Okay.
no matter how many times you review.
Any other amendments? Any
Nope,
public
that's the only.
comment on, right. Any public comments on the agenda related items only? If not, we will go to the consent agenda and ask for a
What?
motion to accept.
Just a second, Dale, we have a member of the public on here. And I think they're probably muted. So, Lindsay, do you want to check?
The public member with the phone number ending in the last four digits, 7759. You are unmuted. Do you have any comments regarding the agenda?
No, pass.
Thank you.
All right, then
thank you.
I will accept the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Jim
Mr.
Bond
Doug?
moves.
Okay, Parks will support.
Any comments on it? Anybody have any comments about it? If not, all those in favor, aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Old business, we have none.
Correct.
New business resolution.
I
Those were considered in the consent agenda, or were they not?
yeah,
4, 5, 6, and 7.
yes, those were in the consent agenda. So now we've completed the consent agenda, and at this time, Ms. Yarrow Brown is going to make a presentation to us before we proceed further. Okay.
Yes, that would be fine.
All right.
Welcome, Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
Do you want to, do you have anything that requires you to share a screen so I can be sure that you're able to, or?
Yeah, I will show a PowerPoint. I can just talk as well, but I do have a PowerPoint prepared.
Okay. There we go. You should be able to share anytime you would like.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes,
And can everybody hear me okay?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for having me today. Some of you may have already heard me talk a few times, so I apologize if this is repetitive, but I just want to give a little bit of an overview about Housing North and let you know who we are and what some of the things we're working on, and then talk about why I'm here today. We were formed about 3 years ago. We formed out of the Networks Northwest group and through the Housing Solutions Network. And our founding partners are the Rotary Charities of Traverse City and the Fry Foundation. We cover the 10 counties in Northwest Michigan, and we have 3 focus areas that are awareness, advocacy, and capacity, which I'll go through each of those in my talk today. So I won't go into too much detail here. I think we all know that we are in a housing crisis in our region and that there are a lot of barriers to this right now. And Housing North was really formed to help come up with some solutions to the barriers that exist in Northwest Michigan for housing, including some ways that we can support our communities in doing that, as well as advocating for some changes at the state and local level to provide more housing opportunities.
Ms. Brown, I apologize. I need to admit someone that just joined.
Okay.
Hello, is anyone there?
Yes, are you a member of the public? This is
I
Lindsay with,
am.
you are. Thank you so much.
Do you want me to keep going?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so about in 2019, we partnered with Networks Northwest to complete a target market analysis in our 10 county region, making projections for 2020 through 2024, or 5 years. The study showed, and this was before the pandemic, that we needed at least about 15,000 additional units, both rental units and home ownership units in our 10 county region. On the chart, you can see the bulk of that need is in Grand Traverse County, but there is a need in all of the other counties, and you can see Manistee shows, and I'll go into detail on the next slide. My screen will work here. Oh, there we go. And all of this information is available to download on our website. But in Manistee County, you need over about 800, I'm sorry, just over 900 units, both rental and home ownership units. And then the city is shown on the right and circled. So these are estimates, and most of them include rental units. And most of the need is for those making less than $40,000 a year, or for rents that would be below $1,000 a month. or a home ownership that would be less than 150,000 or less. And these are just summaries of the reports, but this sort of helped us frame what the need was and try to set some goals for reaching our housing needs in our 10-county region. So I just wanted to clarify what we're talking about. I think most of you are probably aware of this, but at Housing North, you know, we're helping with all housing, but we definitely are focusing as much as possible on those in the 80 to 120% area median income, or helping those who might not be eligible for grants or resources in that. But we definitely recognize there's a need for housing across the income spectrum. This slide comes from Jim Tischler at the Land Bank Authority, and I just thought it was a good way to kind of frame what is available and how we kind of talk about some of the different housing in our region. So one thing that we focus on, and we just sort of ended what we're calling a public awareness campaign, not ended, but we're transitioning, called Homes for Our Future, which really was designed to help get our communities housing ready. And through that platform, we had a call to action for local units of government, employers, and community organizations to endorse the campaign. And it comes with 2 resources, a communications toolkit, as well as a housing ready checklist. So these are also available on our website. And in 2020 through 2021, we had over 12 units of government endorse the campaign, including Manistee County and the city of Manistee, and over 30 organizations. So really what that was saying, or what the commitment was, is that these communities are agreeing to help their communities become housing ready, that they recognize there's an issue and are willing to move through the steps or become more housing ready. We also focus on policy initiatives or ways we can bring more tools and resources and incentives to our 10-county region. And in 2020, we partnered with a group of 4 organizations that are part of an executive team that formed the Housing Michigan Coalition. And this is a statewide bipartisan bicameral initiative that is hoping to have a package of 4 to 5 bills passed that would bring more tools and resources to our community. You can sign up on the website here, and I can make sure Clinton has a copy of this PowerPoint to see the other organizations that have also signed up. And we're hoping that these bills, so one would be allowing for a payment in lieu of taxes for projects that did not have a federal loan or a state or federal grant program. Also in this package is an employer supported housing credit. And some others. I won't go into detail, but I wanted you to be aware of these. They have all passed the Senate and are moving on to the House in the next couple weeks. So as I said, this is a shared challenge. These housing solutions we feel are not partisan, and we know that there's no silver bullet. So we're working on as many initiatives as possible to help bring more tools to our community. Capacity is the other reason I wanted to come here today, and with thanks for inviting me, Clinton, was to talk about the ways we're bringing capacity to our region through staff on the ground, but also looking at different tools in our toolbox that could bring more capacity to the region. So in Charlevoix and Emmett County, we've piloted what we're calling a housing ready program. And I'll just talk a little bit about what that is, and then the work that we're doing in Manistee County to bring a housing ready position to your community. So this shows the partners that are involved in both the Emmett County and Charlevoix County Housing Ready program. So in this case, the Fry Foundation and the Community Foundation supported these positions. They're 3-year positions. And then on the right is the Charlevoix County partners. And on the left, or my left, is the Emmett County partners. Basically, this is the boots on the ground, helping to address all the housing goals and needs of a community. We're also working on plans in this in Leelanau and Manistee County. In Manistee County, we have close to 80% raised to support a housing ready position. And they really work with the local community. They are employed by Housing North as the fiduciary, but they are actually on the ground in your community, helping to build local capacity, identify development opportunities, leverage local resources, and help spur on more housing development. Steve Schnell is our Housing Ready Program Director in Charlevoix County, and he's on staff for over 1.5 years now. And I think I included a summary of his accomplishments and position in the packet. And then we are hiring right now for an Emmett County position, and that will close on this Thursday. We feel it will take all of us to help make our community housing ready, and we really want this position to be guided by the community's goals for partners or for housing. And we feel that having as many partners to contribute this to the position is important, that it not just be funded by philanthropy, but that it also be funded by the units of government. And having a local housing group or a group involved in the process is really important. And I've been working in your community with an ad hoc group that I think is going to become more formalized to help guide this position with different community partners and organizations. We also feel that securing funding for 3 years is an important goal to have the most impact for this position. So these are the different steps to help with a housing ready position. And I would say that right now we're sort of in part the second 2 steps where we're finding partners and we're developing the position materials. So we don't have a job description yet, but we're working next week. We're all meeting to sort of formalize that job description and meet with our different partners to make sure that that reflects the goals of the entire county. And then just a little bit more about capacity for housing. We're working with our different communities to help these tools come to your community, such as deed restrictions, which is a principal residence deed restriction that we piloted in the city of Charlevoix, where they have a real concern about their year-round residents not living there, or their residents not living there year-round. They only have about 30% of their residents that live there year-round, and a goal to bring that up to 50%. If you want to learn more about this program, I can be happy to share some information. We're also working with existing community land trusts, because that is one of the tools that can help lock in affordability, and then working with communities to help leverage the tool of the existing land bank authorities and ways we can help as a third party to bring more housing development using these tools. These are just a few highlights of what we've been developing is our partnerships, and there is a new tool available that we are talking about in different communities called Land Bank 2.0. We will be having a session on this, but this is where you can partner with your land bank authority, brownfield redevelopment authority, and use tax incremental financing to help fill the gap in a housing project. We're also hoping to expand our deed restriction program to other communities and provide technical assistance and support to communities through different partnership agreements. And the village of Kalkaska is one of our partners right now. And we're also excited about a new community land trust that is formed in Leelanau County, but will be available to serve other communities, and it's called Peninsula Housing. And Housing North is a part of, sits on the board of that land trust. So I just wanted to thank you for your time. And I believe you have a proposal in front of you that we submitted. Here is my contact information. I'd be happy to answer, any questions you have about the position, about the request to the Housing Commission, and go over any details. Essentially, we're asking for $10,000 to support this position for the next years. And we have $63,000 raised so far for our community partners. So thank you. I'll stop talking and see if there's any questions or details you want me to fill in.
Anyone have any questions? Go ahead.
So you have the city, the county, and foundation.
We have the Manistee Community Foundation, just supported us with $10,000 a year for up to 3 years. The DDA and United Way, but we do not have a written commitment, but it's been verbal.
Okay, and that total brings you up to 65, you said?
63,000.
And you're looking for 80?
We're looking for, it's about 90,000 for a full-time position, depending on a few things in there. So there's a little bit of there is some, I guess, wiggle room depending on, office space, what type of benefit package they would want, and starting salary.
Okay. And the bachelor level degreed position, or?
Yes, so I can send us some examples. We're still working on the position description, but I can send you the Emmett County one. I would say it would be similar, but we're really hoping the group I'm working with will help refine that, more to be reflective of Manistee County. Ideally, a bachelor's degree with, some experience. It is it's a tricky position to figure out exactly what qualifications you want. We've had to go back, once more in Emmett County to make sure we found the right fit. And advertise it, appropriately with the right skill set.
Well, I know that we have a meeting Thursday. Is it this Thursday? Okay, we'll go over that.
I think so, or I think it's actually, I can't remember Karen off the top of my head, but it's coming up.
All right. Well, I just, from my perspective, I'll be there, but things that when we started this conversation over a year or so ago, in my head, was ideas about being able to be a resource for our housing commission as well. Definitely working with our land bank and the ability to work with groups like Habitat, through the land banking, even through the commission. So, I mean, just trying to bring all these resources together. So I'm looking forward to what they could offer the housing commission too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, to be honest, I'm not totally familiar with your work or what the needs would be of the Housing Commission, but I will say that, anybody who contributes to this position, of course, we would make sure, that you have a seat at the table and helping to define, what some of those goals are, or the needs. But it is a position that will cover the entire county, so we're not going to leave anybody out, as well. So the idea is, to just make sure the funders have a seat at the table, especially in a meeting quarterly and sort of helping to guide this position's goals and the needs of your community that you serve.
Right.
Karen,
Thank you.
you've been involved with this for quite a while, if I'm correct. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and I think I just heard you say you recommend this as something that we do partner with as a housing commission.
Well, I think that there's some possibilities of, some resources, to the commission. Also, maybe some connectivity, coordination needs that between different entities. This will be it's not a development. It's not a place where they do the actual development, but maybe the development or economic development has something going and they're like, oh, this might work good for the housing commission. So that would be a person that would come to the housing commission and say, hey, Clinton, we're looking at this and be able to kind of bring these resources all together in one effort so that we're not, tripping over each other throughout the county and the city.
I think it would be very beneficial for our housing commission in the efforts of integrating further with the community within the city, but also within the county to address housing needs, which is a large part of our goals in the development that we're doing through the RAD conversion of, once we get the public housing all squared away, to be able to be a stronger resource in the community of the city and also, throughout the county, which is why I wanted to, bring this, before the housing commissioners.
Yeah, I can't wait because I'm gonna I'm gonna send them right out to Manistee Township where the old school is. Like, all right, there's acreage here. What can we do with this? That's a great location and by the healthcare, right by Myers. I mean,
Yeah.
gotta get rolling. Yeah, see, all my visions kind of link together eventually. They may not make sense, but they do link together.
Any other commissioners have a comment or a question? I know we will have a formal resolution shortly, but there's a good opportunity just to kind of ask questions, make comments, and speak with Yarrow on this. Well, not hearing any. I think Dale, if you want to move us along, down to the new business resolution, which is 2021-07, the authorization to go into this agreement. Feel free to do that.
I think Dale is muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can ask him to unmute.
There you
I
go.
am unmuted. I was muted before. Sorry about that. Resolution 2024-07. The first three are already passed. Resolution 2021-07, authorization to enter into agreement with Housing North for Manistee County Housing Ready Program Coordinator for Manistee County. May we have somebody that would make the motion?
This is Doug. I'll make that motion.
I support Bond.
Okay. My first question is, Clinton, do we have discretionary money to cover the, what is it, 10,000 we're being asked for?
Yes, we have that through an allotment through our CFP for outreach and development, which
Okay.
this would fall under for that. And there should be plenty of funds once Century Terrace is done to cover it.
All right. My only comment is I think that 80,000 should be absolutely the minimum for a salary for that position, but neither here nor there. All right. Any other comments about this? Anybody else like to make a comment? Karen, Doug, Jim?
Oh, not for me.
All right. Then may we have a vote on the resolution 2021-07 authorization, etc. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Ms. Brown. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And I should add that we will be going to some townships as well. So that will be sort of our next goal once we meet next week and come up with some clarity on the position description. So thank you for your support, and I am here as a resource and to reach out if there are any questions.
And I'll be following up with you to move forward, on the action of
right.
this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
On to reports and communications. Clinton, do you have anything?
Yeah, I have a few things that I want to note that are new in a sense from when I wrote my report related to the motions and such. The closing on the Century Terrace and Harborview RAD conversion is now slated to occur sometime between October 14th and 22nd. We have two holdups that are causing that. One is Eagle with the state, the environmental group. The plans that we have made for mitigation that they required for radon has been approved. Jonathan Nesberg, our developer, spoke with them today. It's approved and is waiting on the authorized individual to sign, but it's holding up the document that has to be submitted to the investor before we can set a date for closing. The other is the legal review of all the legal documents that were prepared by Reno and Kavanaugh by HUD. They are under review by the HUD attorney at the Detroit field office, and Reno and Kavanaugh has made several contact efforts, and they haven't received a update response yet as to where they are in their review. So that's a major unknown. So those are the two hangups that we're waiting on to be able to get a closing date. Also, I wanted to mention that Commonwealth Management Corporation, the arm of Commonwealth Development Corporation that is managing the low-income housing tax credits for the project for the first 3 years, and then by year 5, the Housing Commission will be fully managing the tax credit portion of the project with Commonwealth support. They are bringing representatives in beginning this coming Monday, October 4th through October 22nd. They will be screening all the current residents of Century Terrace and Harborview for program eligibility in the low-income housing tax credit. It's a requirement of the program. However, all of our current residents under the RAD conversion provisions are guaranteed the right to continue in our housing. So again, this is just a paperwork requirement. We're waiting on getting a letter from Commonwealth using our letterhead that will be distributed to all of the residents at Harborview and Century Terrace, and preparing them to come and get their eligibility certification completed. After we finally close on the project, then all of our residents will be meeting with our staff to sign a new lease. And we'll be doing that by appointment, starting at Century Terrace first and then Harborview. And we're setting up for both of these, the LIHTC and also the new lease that has to be signed, COVID safe settings for everyone involved, with that. And every one of our residents are being informed of everything that they have to do by letter and communication. So I know this will probably be cause for confusion because it's a bit confusing for us as staff of everything that's going on. And we're doing our best to keep everyone informed and communicate with them and help them understand, what's going on with them. The most important being is that they're all guaranteed the right to continue on in the housing after the conversion through RAD. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is that Lindsay and I met with Bill Gamble, our new city manager, last Friday. We had about a 30-minute introductory meeting. It was a great discussion. I covered a lot of ground real quickly. And as the longtime commissioners know, there's a lot to understand about public housing. So we wanted to begin the conversation. And we've answered hopefully a lot of Bill's questions, but I know that the discussion is going to be, ongoing. One question Bill asked that I've been working on and researching is that he had been approached about our property on 10th Street. That's a duplex. So the 343 and a half portion of 10th Street, because it was resident damage to the point of it's going to take, with our maintenance team doing it, about $15,000 to remove the odors and replace and fix that unit up to be inhabited. And Habitat for Humanity approached Bill about wanting to know if their volunteers could do the work, for us. So I've been focusing on 3 areas of trying to determine if we're able to do that. One is with our collective bargaining agreement with the maintenance department, since the majority of the work in that unit repair is within their scope of work. So I would have to see if they're open to a memorandum of understanding. Secondly, I've been working with our procurement consultants to determine if there's any areas of procurement. And probably the one with the largest breaks at this point has been our insurance carrier, in particular, their requirements of insurance that Habitat for Humanity would have to be able, and certifications they'd have to provide to be able to work on our property. All that being because we're a governmental agency owned by the federal government at this time. So I haven't found an absolute no yet. I've been finding things that have to be researched further. So I'm working on that to see if that's attainable with that yet. But I will keep everyone apprised, because if we could get them in there to do that, that would be great. Particularly not knowing what they would do, probably supply the labor. That would still reduce the cost of rehabbing that unit and getting someone in there until we have made a determination of the next move we're going to do with phase 2 of our RAD conversion. So,
I have a question.
yeah.
What in God's name happened to cause $15,000 worth of damage? And secondly, I assume that any deposit that the inhabitant gave will be forfeited.
That has happened, and it wasn't much of a deposit, and they had. Help me out here, Lindsay. I got to skirt this around. The residents that were in there were they had mental health and developmental issues, and were in and out of care with Central Wellness, and a lot of that in and out had to do with these residents continuing to voluntarily participate with the services provided. And what would cause it is that we had years of defecation and urination throughout the unit, and then breaking of walls, and the floors were ruined. Anything
So-
I'm missing in general sense, Lindsay?
No, the Housing Commission, we have made multiple steps in helping the residents and to maintain the housing while they're there. So there was lots of efforts made on both sides. So it wasn't like a neglect or anything that,
It was the court was involved, and Department of Health and Human Services had been involved. I think the residents that were there had been there at least 10 years.
yes.
If not a few more. And so a lot of efforts were made. Boy, it must be even longer than that, because the judge before Judge Brennan was on the bench when we had them to court the last time.
So do we have a review process where we check on our properties? I mean, like, do we have an annual walkthrough that we would do on our sites?
Yes, and those were accomplished, and we multiple times sent them up to APS and tried to CMH, Central Wellness, tried to get them to re-engage into their services, and we tried to move through the courts on eviction. Very difficult case because of their mental health and developmental situation. They would clean up the unit with help through DHHS or volunteers from their churches, to the point where we couldn't obtain an eviction. But we tried everything that we could, and we were on top of that unit. This is a situation where multiple agencies needed to be involved to rectify it. We couldn't just straight out evict them. We had to get compliance and willingness of the courts. We had to get the ongoing services of DHHS, and we had to get them, the family, willing to continue a long-term commitment with Central Wellness.
But it sounds like this case, of course, went on for so long that, and the damage continued. It got better, then it get bad again. And obviously, probably before they were evicted, they did all they could to, they didn't take care of anything. But I think that all the agencies you're talking about, I know that Central works well with you, Clinton, and
Right.
There's been a lot of work.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But is there any way that this could have been faster if all of our groups would have gotten together in one meeting to sit down and address a plan, or, did we have to do different steps?
Actually, I participated in, probably over the 10 years, about 3 meetings, 3 or 4 meetings that had Central Wellness at the table, DHHS at the table. Of course, the courts couldn't be at the table, and we were at the table trying to figure out, what to do.
Sure.
Because the question always ended up being where to put these two individuals who, even with their severe disabilities and mental capacities, were their own guardians. And so APS, of course, will never sit around the table, but they never moved, on the issues of
Okay.
pursuing revocation of their self-guardianship. There's only so much we can do as a landlord
Sure.
until those with the legal abilities to do what needs to be done actually step in and do it.
It's disheartening to have so much damage.
Mhm.
Because now we have a place, but we can't, we have a need in our community and we have an opening. However, we can't use it because of this. It's disheartening.
Fortunately, Clinton, in reference to Habitat for Humanity, we would need to be named on their insurance policy too.
Yeah, there's several requirements from our insurance.
There are, who are you dealing with in Chester? Not that
Yes.
I'm going to be able to influence anybody. Do you have a name out there?
I'm working with Amy. What's Amy's last name?
Okay, all right, yeah.
You know who. Okay.
Yes.
And I just haven't had the opportunity to follow up. I wanted to send a copy of the requirements that the insurance group was putting forth to Vanessa Booz, who is the executive director of Habitat, to see if they already have in place these kind of items, and if not, the ability of the organization to put those in place. And if that worked, then I would then next need to contact our union representative, Tanya DeVore, to see about a memorandum of understanding, around this.
Clinton, I'm sorry, this has been a long time, it just seems like a while since we've talked about this place, but there's a person living on the other side of the duplex, right? Is it one person?
That's correct. And how can they be on the other side? That person is physically disabled and thriving, though, and doing quite well there. But how could they live on that other side of that unit, you may ask? Well, when that is one of the few homes that was actually built as a duplex. The others were created as duplexes by the previous executive director, but this current home that we're talking about was built as a duplex by HUD. Its firewall and barrier between each side of the duplex, which goes down not just through the interior matching wall, but down through the crawl space, is such that it has mitigated any of the odors and any of the other issues with creeping over to the other side of the duplex, so that we're able to continually have that unit available for use.
I just wondered though, it's like, I don't know if this is one of the houses or facilities that we have identified as possibly not being feasible in the future, in our future plan. And if there were any openings in our system where a person could move and then, we just could jump ahead and move on whatever the plan is, if it's a plan to get rid of that duplex. I don't know. It's just,
at this point, if that family was willing to move to another one of our family units or into one of our vacancies at Century Terrace or Harborview, and they would have to be willing to do that. That unit and the unit next door has the the HUD subsidy on it, the annual contributions contract funding of that. HUD has allowed the other half, the half that is damaged, to continue with the operating support through the ACC, knowing that we're going into a RAT conversion, because the $15,000 is above and beyond what they would see as worthwhile as investing in that duplex. But because of the RAT conversion process we're under, they see that we have, if we do this, we will have the ability to build new somewhere, or build new on site, or something, and that they want to preserve us having that ACC available. Once you take a unit offline, you have 2 years in which to reassign the ACC to a HUD acceptable facility building. And then they'll transfer it over. If you don't meet that 2 years, then you lose your subsidy. So you lose a public housing unit in the community. And that ties into the Faircloth law that was passed, I think, in, I think it was before the 1978 and 1997 redos at HUD. But the Faircloth law states that once a public housing unit is lost in a community, it cannot be regained. And no additional public housing units are permitted to be built nationally for any reason. So it's a bill that was passed by Senators Fair and Senator Cloth in putting that together. So we would lose a unit if we weren't able to get an acceptable unit to put the ACC on for HUD. And right now, the Detroit field office is looking for us to, I'm going to catch myself, to do rehabilitation of all those units, as in the belief is all those units need to be replaced, except for the 2 buildings built under ARA. So we need to find a way to work through that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kind of lengthy explanation. I'm sorry.
No easy explanation with this stuff.
Mhm.
Sufficient. Any other comments on this? Shall we then go on to, that was it? Was that the end of your report, Clinton, or do you have more?
Oh, that's all of my report. We later had that other discussion, but right now it's public comment.
Yes, it is public comment time, unless some of the other staff wish to have, which I don't assume.
Oh,
they
yes.
do. All right. Do either of the staff there or the staff there have any comments? If not, then let's go on to public comment on whatever the public wants to comment on. 3-minute limit, please. Do we have anybody?
Will the public member with the phone number ending in 7759, do you have any public comment?
I pass.
Thank you.
Pass. All right. All right, then. On to the commissioner's discussion,
Oh.
number 11.
Wait, was there
Yeah.
two public members, or just
Were there
one?
2 public members?
Bill?
Want to make a comment, and I just want to thank the Housing Commission for funding
about
the Housing North position. I think that's a good position to coordinate a lot of the different housing needs, and obviously the Housing Commission has a big stake in this as well. So thank you, and it was good meeting with the Clinton and Lindsay, and I just wanted to introduce myself, Bill Gamble, the new city manager. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No more public? If not, how about item number 11? Commission discussion. At this time, our open discussion, Clinton, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, I'm not sure where to begin other than say it wasn't easy to prepare a short report like you asked for. And so what you have is the
Never is.
short report. There's much more that could have been, in there. And I hope everyone had an opportunity to review the information. And I thought we just kind of open up the discussion and let, people ask questions, reflect, comment, see where the conversation goes. There's a lot there, a lot involved.
Anybody? Karen, Doug, Jim?
No,
Nothing from me.
All right, then.
I would
we are
suggest
at-
please keep
Yeah.
that document because it'll be helpful in communicating to members of the public, and advocating, with city council and planning commission and other things, other groups as we move forward, with phase 2. It really gives I think a good summary of how we came to where we are today, and sort of a small projection of where we hope to go with phase 2. So,
All right. Anyone else? If not, we seem to be at the end of the meeting. I need a motion to adjourn.
on so moved.
All right. Second?
Support Karen Goodman.
All right. We are adjourned. Clinton, send them along and I will sign them. All right?
will do. And thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Bill, for being with us this time and spending the time with us. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.